What is sick leave? Sick leave is job-protected leave, typically unpaid, that is provided to employees where their work absence arises from a personal illness, injury, or medical emergency. Employment standards legislation can vary significantly as to the scope and duration of sick leave, such that it is essential to look at the employment standards legislation of the jurisdiction that governs the employee's employment. For example, employees subject to the Ontario Employment Standards Act 2000, those employees after 2 consecutive weeks of employment will look to Section 50 of the Employment Standards Act to discern the specifics of unpaid job-protected sick leave of 3 days per calendar year based on one of the qualifying conditions for sick leave, be it 1, personal illness, 2, personal injury, or 3, personal medical emergency. As for employees subject to the Alberta Employment Standards Code, those employees after 90 days of employment will look to Section 53.982 of the Alberta Employment Standards Code to discern the specifics of unpaid job-protected sick leave of 5 days per calendar year, based simply on it being, quote, for the health of the employee, end quote. By further comparison, for employees subject to the Canada Labour Code, those employees will look to the 2022 amendment of Section 239 of the Canada Labour Code to discern the specifics of what are now paid job-protected sick leave of up to 10 days per calendar year, with unpaid leave thereafter for a maximum of 27 weeks, for purposes of 1, personal illness or injury, 2, organ or tissue donation, 3, medical appointments during work hours, or 4, quarantine. The specifics of being entitled to 10 paid days of job-protected sick leave are set out in subsections 239, sub 1.2, and sub 1.21. Meanwhile, where an employee's employment contract, including a collective agreement, provides a greater right or benefit than the sick leave standards set in the applicable employment standards legislation, then the terms of the employment contract apply instead of the legislation. If the employment contract does not provide a greater right or benefit, then the sick leave provided by the applicable employment standards legislation controls. It is important that an employee notify their employer that they will be going on sick leave, or where circumstances put them on sick leave, then advising the employer as soon as possible, with the Alberta Employment Standards Code calling for, quote, as much notice as is reasonable and practicable in the circumstances, end quote, and with the Canada Labour Code calling for advance written notice that includes specifics of the sick leave, unless a valid reason exists for not providing such advance written notice, whereupon notice of leave must be subsequently provided. Thank you.